Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast.
I gotta tell you, being an entrepreneur, I will not go through the rest of my career without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, Piracetam, Modafinil, Nupep, Uridine monophosphate. I mean, phenylpiracetam, forget it. You can always have a better brain.
The Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
Episode number 64 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I am your host, Ryan Michael Bell. Thanks so much for being with me. Thanks so much for listening. Great to have you on board. Couple preliminary things. Number one, look, we haven't announced this on the YouTube channel, but I mean, this will go up as an upload on the YouTube channel as well. We're launching a new stack, okay? We've been trying to launch the stack for quite some time. We've been in the beta testing sort of protocols for a bit, trying to figure out the right doses for this compound to really turn on the lights for people. The stack is essentially based around the idea of just taking a couple capsules to truly get into gear. It's one of those stacks that, like, you know, wherever you are, if you've got gunk in your brain, you're tired, your brain's not working good, you take the stack, it turns on the lights, everything changes. Now you're productive. Now you're a beast. Now you can go and attack the things you need to attack in your productive life or in your otherwise life. That stack is launching sometime in the next couple months. Production starts in 2 or 3 weeks. So I can't announce the name yet, but I will soon. I just wanted to plant that seed. 6 powerful products support this broadcast as it stands. Number 1, the Cortex Nootropic Stack. That's our stack, pre-made stack, already out. Powerful nootropic stack. Right now, $32 at livecortex.com. Get a bottle of Cortex. You will not be sorry, man. That is a strong stack. I mean, that was the deal. We looked around at the other pre-made stacks, and though they were pretty good, you know, we wanted to build something super strong that folks who had no question in their minds that this was an exceptionally powerful stack. Cortex. Get a bottle at livecortex.com, what's being called the only pre-made stack that works. If you are new to nootropics, we have a product that is perfect for you. It's called the Nootropics Starter Pack. It gets you a bottle of Cortex, our stack, and Smarter, Better, Faster. What's Smarter, Better, Faster? It is a digital nootropics guide that teaches you everything you need to know about nootropics, how to dose them, how to use them, and gives you many powerful stacks. Get that at livecortex.com. Our other digital guides are awesome. The Nupep Pro Stack List, the Racetam Guide, the Nootropic Stack for the business professional, the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam. They're all digital nootropic stack lists. Get all that stuff at livecortex.com. And thanks so much for sticking with me through the Product Pro. Okay, one of the interesting things that I don't think we talk about often enough in the world of nootropics, because I think a lot of us are interested in taking nootropics for the purposes of improving our brain performance now, and we don't really have deficits. I mean, we might have some deficits, but we don't have serious central nervous system disorders, is the notion of taking certain nootropic compounds to literally improve brain damage, to improve disorders of the central nervous system that have been plaguing us for quite some time, where we really have a significant memory loss, you know, we have some other issues related to stroke or otherwise neurodegenerative diseases, epilepsy, seizures, just disorders of cognition and memory, and even super hardcore stress and anxiety. But that's one of the things that, I mean, I think we have to look at as as nootropics users, aside from just us getting benefits performance-wise, the significance of these compounds in really, really terrible situation. People are in like muddy water. Nootropics are life-changing for those people. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about it. We've worked with so many people on a consulting basis with this, where, I mean, folks are 50, 60 years old. They're having issues with brain performance. It's been, rapidly declining over many years. And, we start them on a particular nootropic regimen, and suddenly within, it takes some time, within a couple weeks or so, they get their brain back. But they notice substantial brain performance benefits over baseline, like the first day they started taking it, right? Very cool thing. We have and for those of you that are, interested in that, or, don't know what the heck I'm talking about, we've got a consulting service. It's a 40-minute call with me, 15 additional email correspondences, where essentially Cortex Labs, our company, works with you to build a stack for you, to find a stack that works well for you, to get your brain functioning better. We can shave some things off your current stack. We can advise you on what stacks to take for certain brain states or for certain ailments. And a lot of folks that we work with, just get massive benefits. The class of nootropics that seem to be the most useful in this situation are racetams. That's pramiracetam, oxiracetam, phenylpiracetam, aniracetam, and piracetam. And what I want to do here is I just want to read you a couple of the majorly important parts of a study done in 2010, really a summary of a bunch of studies on all of those racetams, specifically for central nervous system disorders, to highlight the significance of racetams particularly for certain central nervous system disorders, memory issues, anxiety, etc. Even brain damage from traumatic injuries, neurodegenerative diseases, strokes, epilepsy again, and seizures. And then, just to kind of highlight the general idea of the significance of nootropics in terms of efficacy for people that have ailments, not just for people that need to improve their performance. So this paper is called Piracetam and Piracetam-like Drugs: From Basic Science to Novel Clinical Applications to CNS Disorders, which stands for Central Nervous System Disorders. I'm going to read you parts of the abstract to get you the heavy-hitting ideas, the real ideas I want folks to take home. All right, here it goes. There is an increasing interest in nootropic drugs for the treatment of CNS disorders. Since the last meta-analysis of the clinical efficacy of piracetam, more information has accumulated. Now, remember, guys, this is from 2010. So think about the information that's accumulated in between then and now. The primary objective of this systematic survey is to evaluate the clinical outcomes as well as the scientific literature relating to the pharmacology, pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, mechanism of action, dosing, toxicology, and adverse effects of marketed and investigational drugs. The major focus of the literature search was on articles demonstrating evidence-based clinical investigations during the past 10 years for the following therapeutic categories of central nervous system disorders: cognition and memory, epilepsy and seizure, neurodegenerative diseases, stroke and ischemia, and stress and anxiety. In this article, piracetam-like compounds are divided into 3 subgroups based on their chemical structures, known efficacy, and intended clinical uses. Now, here's the compounds that they used here. Subgroup 1 drugs include piracetam, oxiracetam, aniracetam, pramiracetam, and phenylpiracetam, which have been used in humans, and some of which are available as dietary supplements. Of these, oxiracetam and aniracetam are no longer in clinical use. Okay, pramiracetam. Here's what's really pretty cool, and why we always talk about pramiracetam as being exceptionally powerful. It's lauded as the study nootropic. I'll use it in 100 to 200 milligram quantities in conjunction with many other compounds. We basically break down the most powerful pramiracetam stacks one could ever find on the web or anywhere in the Racetams God Guide. It's a digital guide that's downloadable. You can download it right away. It's on livecortex.com, the Racetams God Guide, many pramiracetam stacks. But here's the deal. Pramiracetam reportedly improved cognitive deficits associated with traumatic brain injuries. That is huge. Then it goes on to say, although piracetam exhibited no long-term benefits for the treatment of mild cognitive impairments, recent studies demonstrated its neuroprotective effect when used during coronary bypass surgery. That's like a heart surgery. That there's cognitive issues, or correction, piracetam was neuroprotective, during and or after coronary bypass surgery, which is pretty awesome. It was also effective, and this is piracetam, in the treatment of cognitive disorders of the cerebrovascular and traumatic origins. However, its overall effect on lowering depression and anxiety was higher than in improving memory. So interestingly, piracetam improved depression and anxiety more so in cerebrovascular disorders and other cognitive disorders than memory. Hey, I'll take that. I mean, you know what I mean? That's cool. That's great. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I think a lot of folks start taking certain racetams, and feel better from their, mild or somewhat depression. Because of the way that piracetam potentially works on cholinergic signaling. I think it's some sort of analog of GABA, initially looking at the structure of it. And so it's got to have something to do with it. But the interesting next part is about phenylpiracetam. Phenylpiracetam is more potent than piracetam and is used for a wider range of indications in combination with a vasodilator drug, which is just something that improves blood flow in the brain. Piracetam appeared to have an additive beneficial effect on various cognitive disabilities. Subgroup 2 drugs include levetiracetam, celecoracetam, and breviracetam. These are other just sort of, I don't want to call them rogue racetams, but a lot less studied, a lot less popular other racetams, which demonstrate anti-epileptic activity. Not even sure what that is. Let's see. Anything else relevant here? Subgroup 3 includes piracetam derivatives, also known as or with unknown clinical efficacies, and of these, nephiracetam failed to improve cognition in post-stroke patients, which is pretty interesting. Nephiracetam is another racetam that works mildly on cholinergic signaling, slightly different mechanisms, a lot less popular, and not to say that it doesn't actually improve brain performance or brain function and disability certain situations, but it hasn't become, it's certainly not one of the popular racetams. In the Racetam Guide, we write about nephiracetam because there are stacks you can take with it that work well. I've taken nephiracetam before, other people have. It's just certainly not as impressive as the rest of these racetams, okay? So that's basically the gist of it. We've got phenylpiracetam, in combination with a vasodilator drug being massively more potent, in a wide range of different implications for cognitive disability. So the takeaway, one of the great takeaways there, which is something that we suggest all the time, would be something like phenylpiracetam and vinpocetine. Vinpocetine is a vasodilator. In fact, I don't know, it doesn't specify what vasodilator they were using in this study, but it could have been vinpocetine, 5 to 15 milligrams of vinpocetine, with 175 milligrams of phenylpiracetam, with 300 milligrams of choline bitartrate. I mean, you're going to get a good brain performance effect, if the dose works well for you, even if you don't have brain performance deficits, okay? But we got all this great information about pramiracetam improving cognitive deficits associated with traumatic brain injuries. And it's just crazy. And then piracetam, studies demonstrated it has a neuroprotective effect when used during coronary bypass surgery. I mean, all this great stuff working on anxiety and depression and memory, piracetam does, in a positive way. The stuff is just amazing. And so that you can read that study if you're super interested in that study. On the web, just Google piracetam and piracetam-like drugs from basic science to novel clinical applications to CNS disorders. That's the name of that study. Super fascinating. Gives you a look at people using these compounds for therapeutic reasons and getting good results. And that's just one of the things that I think, there's many reasons we take nootropics, but it's important to recognize, that, hey, when we all get into the age of 50 and 60 and we got cognitive disorders, like say we stopped taking nootropics or something, these things would be interesting to look at. If we know folks in our lives that are having cognitive issues, whether it's age-related or traumatic brain injury-related or otherwise related, we got to start thinking about racetams for these people. And I just think it's important to separate from the I need performance now perspective in relation to nootropics and look at nootropics in relation to helping people that have cognitive disabilities. Okay, that has been the episode number 64 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I hope that's been useful. I hope that's been helpful. I hope that has been awesome. I hope that has been inspiring for those of you that are nootropics enthusiasts like me. Thanks so much for listening. Check us out on the web at livecortex.com, at livecortex.com/blog, giant blog for nootropics information. Right now, the Cortex Nootropic Stack is $32. We just ran a special where it was a little cheaper for quite some time. We've got to take it back up to regular price. It's a little cheaper than regular price. Normally it's $34.99. Get a bottle of Cortex. Look, if you haven't tried it, you're not going to know how you respond to it unless you try it. And I got to say, most folks love the Cortex Stack. Take the Cortex Stack, try the Cortex Stack, are amazed by the power of the Cortex Nootropic Stack. Get it at livecortex.com. All of our digital guides, I got to tell you, one of the most popular and the most powerful that folks have just been sort of raving about, sending us emails saying, man, we took a stack from this guide and it totally turned my brain on, is the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam. Okay, it's not just for beginners. It's got 25 solid aniracetam stacks in there that combine with all the other nootropics imaginable that are very, very powerful. It's digital. All of our guides are digital as well. Get them at livecortex.com. We've got nootropics consulting at livecortex.com. We've got chronic fatigue syndrome consulting at livecortex.com. And again, if you want a stack that you can take a couple capsules and literally turn the brain on, get a bottle of Cortex. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Rock on.